All right, let's talk
good.
about the rumor from
good.
John Morosi last night.
Spill the tea.
I don't understand this. You guys, please weigh in. Tyler, I'd love to get your opinion on this. Last night, John Morosi puts out that the Phillies are considering some starting pitching help. The two names he mentioned, Jack Flaherty, who is having a resurgent year with the Detroit Tigers after signing a one-year deal with them, and Garrett Crochet, who is probably the best starting pitcher on the trade market from the Chicago White Sox. Now, Garrett Crochet has pitched in the bullpen in the past. He is approaching a career high in innings, much like a Ranger Suarez. There is belief that he will be sent back to a bullpen perhaps by late August, early September to kind of load manage him. So if you were to bring in if Flaherty would straight up be a starting pitcher, he would not be a bullpen arm. Then you have to consider maybe, do you put like a Ranger in the bullpen? Do you put a Sanchez? Like, I don't know. It's just weird. Crochet at least makes a little bit more sense in that he's a starting pitcher that can go to the bullpen somewhat flawlessly. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. I know Rangers struggled a little bit. Zach Wheeler's back. He had a tremendous outing last night. Aaron Nola gives me no concern. Christopher Sanchez has been wildly impressive this year. Taijuan Walker began his throwing program today. If Tyler Phillips can kind of hang tight with you here for a couple more weeks, you can stretch out to a six-man rotation. I do not see the need to waste assets going after a starting pitcher. John Morosi isn't making this up. It's coming from somewhere. I don't really understand it.
Is this the sign of what the future is to hold for Taijuan Walker? Because I wonder.
My first thought is actually more about the future of Ranger Suarez, not Taijuan. They know Taijuan is a sunk cost. But Ranger is not. He has one more year. He's arbitration eligible year 3 next year, I believe.
It definitely makes you wonder.
And Christopher Sanchez already signed his extension.
Right,
Ranger hasn't. They say they want to.
I don't know how you let Ranger go after this.
I do. But, like, that's the only thing that would make sense to me is if they like Crochet more than Ranger.
How do you like Crochet
and they bring
more than
Crochet in because he's under control for a couple more years and let Ranger go or trade Ranger. Like, this is where my mind went last night.
And it shouldn't have to go here.
None of it makes sense, Renee. Our pets' heads are falling off.
I know. Okay, so Jack Flaherty, I'm out on as well. He has a 3.13 ERA, 7-5 on
Really
the
good
season
year.
with 27 Ks. He is looking really good. He has that one-year deal with the Tigers. He's got a .96 WHIP. He's strictly a starting pitcher, as you mentioned. So I'm out on him. I think if you were to bring in a starting pitcher, if it was a Garrett Crochet, who we have seen in roles as a bullpen arm and as a starting pitcher with a 3.07 ERA on the season, 157 Ks, he's 6-7 with a .97 WHIP. He is a guy that might be able to fill the role that you wanted Spencer Turnbull to have, of being a guy that can fluctuate between the two. If needed, you can slot him into the starting pitching rotation. If needed, he can also be a bullpen arm, which technically could solve a couple problems because you can get a bullpen arm and you can get a guy that, if you have like right now, Taijuan Walker goes down, Spencer Turnbull goes down, you have to rely on Tyler Phillips. That instead could be Garrett Crochet. So I think from that sense, maybe it's not like I'm trying not to go to Ranger Suarez, but it's hard because Garrett is not a cheap person to bring in. But maybe that means they're willing to push the chips in. You bring in a guy that can give you a little bit of both. Prospects, that means some of them are out the door, and you now get a 6'6", 25-year-old ready now, bullpen arm and starting pitching, which is a 2-for-1. That's like a BOGO deal, but it's a very expensive BOGO deal.
Yeah, it's probably going to cost you Abel
so
and
I think
Kaba
from a tactical
Crawford,
standpoint,
something like that.
Sure, because I do like the idea of actually bringing a guy that can fit multiple roles, but it absolutely is going to cost you. So this is very surprising. I think it might show us that the Phillies are doing a little bit more and more active than or more willing to push the chips in than we have even expected on our end.
I think it's a smokescreen.